Karl Rove, the longtime Republican strategist, touted the possibility earlier this month about a multi-ballot convention in July. This means, and this is where it gets a little wonky, that a projected 2,472 delegates will attend the Republican National Convention in July of 2016. Around 600 of those will be bonus delegates. Now, a candidate needs around 1,500 delegate votes to win the nomination on the first ballot. And if he or she doesn't win on that first ballot, all 2,500 delegates can vote for whomever they want. Crazy, right? Today, to discuss, we're welcoming back Republican strategist and contributor to the Hill newspaper, Gianno Caldwell. Gianno, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is all a little complicated, and it sounds a little bit more like a conspiracy theory than anything else. But could the RNC hypothetically pick whomever they support and bypass the choice of who the American people want as their candidate?
Well, technically, yes. Logically, no. But this is the real issue here. Donald Trump being one of the candidates, or even Dr. Ben Carson being another candidate, who are both outsiders. They say things that the mainstream generally doesn't like. And they're always seen as candidates who the Democrats and some Republicans believe can't win the White House. And what's particularly interesting about this debate is the fact that I spoke with an RNC official not long ago who believed that something like this could happen. So I don't think that it's a conspiracy theory at all. If we keep seeing the same momentum with Donald Trump and Dr. Ben Carson and them being outside candidates, candidates without the political experience, it's quite possible, not saying that, it's going to happen for sure, but it's quite possible there could be a coup.
Maybe not quite as hypothetical as we would like to believe, but historically, brokered conventions have not ended well. The Republican Party split at the convention with Taft and Roosevelt in 1912, and Roosevelt ended up running as a third-party candidate. Now, not recently, but in the past, there has been some talk about Trump doing the same thing. Do you think that he could run as a third-party candidate?
With Donald Trump, there's no telling. And the interesting thing about Donald Trump is he is that popular. So if he wanted to run as a third-party candidate, and he in fact did run as a third-party candidate, probably no matter how good the Republican candidate is, that person would probably lose to Hillary Clinton. It would be a split-the-ticket kind of situation, and Republicans lose in that scenario. Now, the reason the RNC wanted to make Mr. Trump feel comfortable earlier in this process is so that he wouldn't feel that he needed to run as a third-party candidate. And he's mentioned in previous interviews, he said, hey, I won't run as a third-party candidate if the RNC treats me fairly. And I guess thus far, he's felt that they've treated him fairly. He's been number one in a majority of the polls. Whenever he feels that there's a possibility of him being dethroned from number one, he attacks. He did that with Dr. Ben Carson not long ago. So, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully, if Donald Trump wins and he is the Republican nominee, then he will listen to some of his other advisors in terms of the primaries before we get to the convention, and he'll make sure that his tone is appropriate for them, I guess, in a way.
Right,
but we just don't want to have that. Otherwise, Republicans lose.
Right. And in the first debate, the first GOP debate, he was actually asked if he would consider, like you said, running as a third party. And he said he would not. I think he does understand the spoiler effect, that it wouldn't just be him moving away from the RNC, that he would take votes from the Republican candidate. It would essentially, a third-party candidate that had come from this GOP primary would end up causing, in effect, the Democratic nominee to win because the vote would be split. I do think it could be a slightly different situation if it comes down to a brokered convention. If he was the choice of the people and then the RNC pulled some tricks, pulled some strings, and ended up choosing someone else because they thought they could control that candidate better. I do think that factors into it a little bit more, but overall, I don't see any of the candidates in the GOP primary now breaking off and trying to run as a third-party candidate.
Well, yeah, first, I don't think that the RNC would be able to control any one of these candidates that are currently in the field. I think the RNC likes more establishment candidates because they have the political experience, and there's certain things that they won't say because of political correctness or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, mainstream likes political correctness. Conservatives do not. So that would be the only win-win for the RNC, is they would get a candidate that's more on message and focused than someone who says what's on their mind, and that's what's detrimental to them. When you think about the other candidates that are in the race, I think the ones that really do have the staying power is Donald Trump, Dr. Ben Carson, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Jeb Bush. Those are the candidates that we can expect to see all the way to the convention. One, because they have the money. Two, because they have the name recognition. And three, because people are still saying if Dr. Ben Carson and Donald Trump don't pull it off, then those voters are going to split off and go to either one of those other three candidates. So that's what we're seeing here.